Hey people, it's me again. So, anyways, I can't believe it's December again, you know? So, since I have like another YouTube channel with like unlimited length there that I brought up like about a couple months ago, I had like one from a while ago, and then I kind of lost the unlimited length later on, but I didn't know that you can't really put like any content ID matches and stuff like that, even if it was something that was clearly shouldn't be content ID matches. But it's mainly like YouTube poop. It shouldn't really be content ID matches there because it's supposed to be count as like a parody of a parody of a parody, like of that as far as that goes. So, anyways, part of me, as far as having that whole runny nose, it always does that for some reason, But, anyways, since it's an unlimited length one, I'm gonna basically do like a really long video, and then I already have my phone plugged in, so just in case if it does it, so I could basically talk on and on and on and on, about something, But, anyways, I managed to have a whole lot of things that I have to take care of, as far as going into the next phase of my life as far as that goes. And I guess in a way, as far as it seems to go, that I'm not really exactly sure if I still want to still go to college as far as that goes, but now it seems like I have to kind of put it off again because of the price of tuition, the price of all the supplies and stuff, and it's going to be like about like $100 or maybe a couple $100 there because of having to do having to get myself registered again, and then paying like the tuition, which would be about, I forgot, like at least I can't even remember. It was like at least $26 a unit at this point. It's not like how it was when I first started college back in about '99, where it was only like $11 a unit. And then it'd be like $26 a unit, or even more than that, and then having to pay for like all the books and supplies for whatever it is I need to do as far on some of the classes that I wanted to take. And even if it was a class that I was like doing just for the fun of it, and just to get out of the house and all that sort of stuff, or just to get back in the swing of things, Although I think as far as like my whole school career goes from K through 12, I had dealt with people not really understanding my disability, but this was just basically at the time. I mean, wait a minute, I shouldn't even call it a disability anymore, especially since I've already had said that I have like Asperger's there, and I shouldn't really refer to it as a disability, But you can see why, as far as why sometimes I really can't refer to it as that, because it gets so ingrained into me that the whole Asperger's is just something that should be viewed as being defective or something, when it's really a difference of a neurotype of some sort. And I don't really understand why it's always people who seem to fear someone that is basically different from them, whether it's a different religion, different race, different sexual orientation, different neurotype, or ability or inability of some sort, So, anyways, as I was kind of saying so far, having Asperger's faced a lot of challenges, with being that I didn't know what it was until after high school. And even after high school, I think it was just merely, what do you call it? Merely that people just didn't know any better at the time. And I think I probably should have been a little bit more. I probably should have been a little bit more accepting of that at the time when I was younger. But somehow I think maybe I was just a little bit ingrained to think that everything has to be done exactly perfect or some sort, And I think that's where I kind of had that feeling when I was younger, wanting to do everything while I can still do it at the time, And a lot of times I kind of felt really upset with people that were just being in the way when I wanted to do certain things for the first time, or because I felt like I just wanted to get it right for the first time, And this sort of thing has especially bothered me as far as when it came to, I mean, maybe it came to high school and maybe even after high school, where I was just obsessed with trying to do things right the first time. And a lot of times, as far as the other parts of high school, was trying to have what I never had in middle school, or the same way when it was middle school, elementary school in some cases. I think I was trying to make up for whatever the things that one of the teachers didn't do the previous. What if it was? But I think it was just stemming from Miss Levitt there, and a lot of times I would basically say if anybody had asked me about about 4th grade or 5th grade or 3rd grade or so, and that I would say it's just that maybe it was all right, maybe it wasn't all right, but I think I just had a hard time adjusting to going to a regular school there instead of just actually having a school, like a smaller school, like for the E&F school there. But as I could also explain now, it's just when I first started school, I didn't know. I mean, nobody really knew where to place me, so that's where I was in the whole E&F, the exceptional needs facility there, and it was just about a couple months ago on the news that my old school that I went to for kindergarten to 2nd grade was vandalized, and it just made me upset, because that was the school that I went to, and then they basically vandalized the whole thing with like the whole therapy rooms, and there was the therapy pool with the skylight was all broken, and then he wrecked the aquarium that was outside the office, and destroyed one of the defibrillators that was there. But I don't know what the whole update has. I don't know what happened after, if they caught the vandals, or if the school had have brought enough money to replace all the items and stuff like that, especially when the whole budget shortfall and stuff like that. But so, anyways, I digress. So I went there for like just those years, and I had Miss Heitman for kindergarten in first grade, Miss Heitman at the time, and then there was Mrs. Brown for second grade. But that's the only teacher that I basically had just for 1 year, and then there was Miss Levitt, and then Mr. Sims part of the year for third grade. So it was Miss Levitt one part of the year, and then Mr. Sims the other part of the year for third grade, and then fourth, fifth, and sixth grade was Miss Levitt at the time. Because she probably goes by a different name now, I guess. So I wouldn't say that Miss Levitt is a bad teacher of some sort, but in some ways, when I look back at all that Miss Levitt kind of reminds me of Mrs. Krabappel from the Simpsons, because they share a lot of similarities, that they were like in their late 30s, early 40s or so, and they both are a little bit jaded, and then they were both, well, I wouldn't necessarily say that Miss Levitt was like divorced or anything, but it was just, she just had like a estranged husband, or that she was separated from her husband or some sort, but I don't really remember exactly the whole story. But with like Mrs. Krabappel, it was mainly the husband ran off with the marriage counselor that on one episode, as she kind of mentioned a few times, in a more sardonic way, So, anyways, I think I just had a hard time making some friends because I had a hard time communicating to people back then, and I think at the time that was where I kind of came off as being kind of quirky or weird, in some cases, and in a way, it's one of the things with like that people with Asperger's, that we tend to talk to ourselves because we want to like say what we think, and rather than think what we say, and rather than think it, that sort of thing. So, anyways, as I was kind of saying now, I think it was like middle school. I think it was like a little bit better because I think I was starting to mature a little bit. But although I had a few family problems around 5th and 6th grade, and then I think it all boiled out to like maybe like disciplinary problems in 5th and 6th grade. And merely it boiled over around one year, like in 6th grade, but in a way, I kind of think that one principal kind of deserved it as far as in 6th grade, and looking back at all of that, even though, yeah, I did got in trouble, but I think at least I kind of stood up to somebody there. One of those kind of principles there, that the whole authoritarian type principles, but when I look at it then, maybe I went a little bit too far, but then on the other hand, he was just part of it. Didn't want to, maybe he just didn't care, and maybe I just wanted to make him care. So, that sort of thing, So as a result, I basically saw what's her name? It was like Ellie, and then later on was Wanda for all sorts of stuff for like therapy and all that, you know. And then around the time, that's how I met like out there. She was kind of one of those best buddy type things that they had for the Orange County mental health thing during like middle school and during like 7th and 8th grade, you know. And I kind of had like out that I talked to her like a couple times and visit her house and met her family and stuff like that, and spent the night with her, you know, with all that sort of stuff, you know. Nothing, anything with that going on there, mind you, people. So, anyways, that was probably about like 91 or no, that was about like 93, 94, 95. You know, that was the year I was in middle school, and that was when it was also starting to become a little bit more social, but yet I'm still a little bit awkward, you know, sometimes, you know. But in a way, I guess I could say the only reason I never really brought a whole lot of people over was the fact that even if I did made friends at school, they lived like in some other like city there, you know, because I went to Viejo, which was in the district, but I was like bussed around for like maybe about 40, like a half an hour to 45 minutes or so, and along with some of my other friends that were in my class, like with Lisa and Tisha there, that we were all bussed around, you know. But I think the problem is that they didn't make it though that all the kids who had disabilities, whether they were like Asperger's or ADHD or dyslexia and all of that, they would kind of basically bus them around to whoever was the most qualified teacher, regardless of where they lived in Laguna Niguel, or where they lived in Aliso Viejo or Dana Point or Mission Viejo or some sort. So I lived like over here, like in Laguna Niguel, and then having to go to school like over in Mission Viejo and all that. And there were probably other kids who lived in other places that had to go to like Crown Valley or one of the other schools, but not the home school, not their home school of choice there. I don't know if they actually do that now as far as with the district, you know, but maybe not anymore. So, anyways, now that I begin to think about it, it was that without a, not only that I did kind of had a lot of fun with her, like meeting her family and all that, but I think I ended up losing touch with her like once I started high school. But it was like also the case around I think it was like it was kind of around the same summer like summer of '95 or '94. No, wait a minute, I think it was around '95. Because Alec was kind of a little bit sick, and it maybe that she needed to kind of let me go. So then they had to assign me with another best buddy there, you know. And I think her name was like Gail, but she was a lot younger. She was like maybe like just about my age at the time, you know, like in her late 20s, early 30s, you know. But I never really gone to her place, or what if it was like her apartment or anything of that sort, you know. But of course she took me to the movies a couple times, and other times where I had lunch with her, and the same way with that, where I would have lunch with her, where I had dinner with her one time, where Howard had took me to a couple of concerts, a couple of classical music concerts, I think, So it was, I think it was like around high school, I think, that I was also still seeing like, now Wanda was like later on around high school, but it was like Allie was around middle school. And I kind of saw them like once or twice a week, and that we would talk about whatever little problems and sort of things like that. And every now and then they would have the whole family visit the psychologist and stuff like that, because they wanted to see what if the things with the family were okay, But I think it was a couple times that I did have to see like psychiatrists later on in life, But I think I think it was the last time I actually saw Allie was probably like my junior year. Probably my junior year, and even though everything was like great during those first 2 years of high school, when then I kind of basically stopped seeing Allie after that. Once I was already finished and so forth, But in a way, as far as it was kind of like right around junior year. I think I was stressed out, and I think I was on the verge of nervous breakdown when I basically saw Allie the last time. But then this time, she worked with a partner, and then had also a therapy dog, who was like another one, and then another like golden retriever, I think, but. And then I think the last time I also saw Wanda was like around the same year. But I didn't really see them. But I think I probably should have seen Allie and Wanda during my senior year, because that was like the most stressful year, and a lot of times I don't really mention it to people as far as the whole family problems, but I usually tell guys about it later on, once I got real comfortable with them. And in a way with Drew, it was like he kind of understood, because he had a similar situation with my family, with his family too. So I don't really want to mention that on YouTube as far as what the situation is, but you can guess in some cases as far as certain stuff, but that sort of thing had basically prevented me from coming out, and then, although I knew it was like gay around maybe even earlier, but I think I first started to really notice it when I was like 13 or 14, but I never really like told anybody about it. But then it was merely about being afraid of everybody rejecting me of that sort, just like any other kids that had that are like coming out at that time, any of the teens that are coming out, that they're afraid of being rejected of some sort, you know. So, anyways, as I was kind of saying so far, that not only that some of those family problems prevented me from coming out, but it was also, I guess I would say, bad timing on my part. At the age when I probably should have come out, it was like the whole thing with like Andrew Cunanan, and then it was the whole thing with Matthew Shepard was another reason that I didn't come out until a little bit later, around 03, when I was like 22. So, anyways, as I was kind of saying so far with high school and all of that I think I did have a pretty good experience there, because of the fact that I already was making a lot of friends in middle school and stuff, but I wasn't really living up to my full potential. So they were trying to put me into another school like Cabell Valley, because it might have been better for me. But my parents had insisted that I should go to the same school as everybody with my class, instead of going off to a different high school than everybody, because then I would have been bussed around, and then having to get the short end of the stick for some reason, So, anyways, as I was saying so far now, that although, as far as in high school, that I think the only little problems that I might have had were just one teacher that was a little bit on my case, I think. But it wasn't until maybe like the last semester of high school when I think he finally understood me, I think. Which was kind of a little bit strange, that I had that teacher for roughly the entire high school career for 4 years, and it had taken like three and a half years for him to understand me. But oh well. It was a little bit after high school was when I was like finally diagnosed with Asperger's, and in a way, I never really seemed to like that one psychologist that I saw at the time, but I just kind of viewed him as a pill pusher, because he kept trying to think that trying to insinuate that the best way for me to have some sort of treatment was with Paxil, Zoloft, and all these other little things and stuff, I had taken these type of medicines once or twice before, around middle school, because it was part of my therapy. But in some ways, I don't think it would have really should have really been recommended in the first place, and when they could really just done the cognitive therapy at the time. But then it probably was too expensive to hire some sort of specialist to train the psychologist and stuff like that. What if it was Wanda or Allie to teach me like cognitive therapy skills and stuff like that at the time, But it would have saved a whole lot, But although I should have watched that whole episode of 2020 uh, a couple days ago where they had about all these kids in the foster care system that were all on some sort of medications, even if they weren't never had any kind of mental or psychological or emotional problems whatsoever. They're still medicated, and then they don't realize that that's just something doesn't need to be fixed, and and the fact that it can cause some irreparable harm to them. So, anyways, as I was kind of saying now, is as I'm kind of saying now with everything with yeah, I'm already starting to lose my train of thought. So I think I kind of lost it there, you know. So here it is, like 30 minutes that I kind of been talking so far. But then here I keep going around trying to talk about certain things, but yet I have some difficulty, or sometimes I feel like maybe I shouldn't really mention certain things when I've already mentioned it before, you know. I don't know why I keep doing that, you know. So, anyways, as I was kind of saying now with 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 here it is again. I mean, I'm all stuttering again. So, okay, with after high school, then I was in the whole adult transition. So this was kind of like the whole time where they're kind of helping kids with disabilities transition into adulthood, you know. And I guess I would say that my experience with them was somewhat okay, you know, but there was a lot of problems, but I think it was just now that looking at it that is kind of all water under the bridge, and merely that it was just bad timing on my part there, you know, due to the fact that they did not know how to facilitate me for my needs, you know, at that time, you know. And then at that time with the whole psychologist, that I just considered him not just like a pill pusher, but I think in some ways that maybe he was just not listening to me, you know. So it was probably around that time one year that I think I kind of blow up at him, you know, and I think I just wanted to get his attention as far as that goes, and I just didn't want to be on that medication as far as with the Paxil or Zoloft, as far as that goes, you know. But anyway, I think he might have been a bit of a sweet talker as far as that goes, and I think I might have been sweet talking him right back, you know, as far as that goes, you know. So, anyways, I think it was at that same time, you know, that when it had the whole medication there, and I kind of wanted to be off it, and I think I had a little bit of a disagreement with Mom about it, because I think she just wanted me to do what the doctor tells you and all that sort of stuff and blah 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 blah, you know. And then I think that whole blow up was basically the reason was a way to get it through to Mom and through to that me is the real me. Me being on the Paxil is not the real me, and that for that kind of time, as far as me being shy or soft spoken, and I don't see any kind of problem with me being me on that point. I just wish that everybody back then, around in 2000 or so, I mean the year 2001 and 99, just would have get off my back about that. I think that was just basically what I had the whole problems with people at that time, that they didn't, it was either I'm not saying the right words to them, or they're just either not listening hard enough. And that's just basically what it is. So, anyways, I mean, I had all these kind of like drama with people like that, and now I had to kind of constantly remind myself that people are not always going to listen that way good, because I don't know, maybe it's just either they don't really care enough, or maybe it's just I'm not saying it right to them in some cases, but that's just how it is, So, anyways, I think as far as the next, the next part, that with, now I'm just getting all my thoughts in order, so, anyways, I kind of left Adult Transition in 01. I think it was mainly due to me feeling all burned out by all the miscommunications, the misunderstandings, and stuff like that, and then in a way, that was what caused it, but I think it was just merely at the time, I think I just wanted more, and that maybe they weren't really ready to give me more, or just didn't know how to give it to me at that time. But I guess I could say it was just merely that I wanted to actually have more of a regular job, rather than just working at some place like the Party America, just putting all the merchandise away, or working at some sort of place just counting spoons or putting straws away or something like that. Those are kind of very simple, menial jobs, because here, here I'm like very smart and all of that, I kind of wanted to do certain jobs that where I can do something that's kind of complicated, But at the same time, I wanted to do like jobs where I don't really have to deal with a whole lot of people, But a lot of times I think I had a hard time talking to people, But I think that's just one of those little things, as far as with Asperger's, So I did have that job as far as the library, but I think the biggest mistake with like Adult Transition back then was the fact that they should have just let me continue on with the library, and not put me into move me to another job when I've already liked the job. It's like if I like something like that, then I just want to stick with it. I don't need to change something when there's something that doesn't need to be changed. If I need to have some sort of change, I'll let people know about it. But other than that, I just want people to leave me alone about it, So, anyways, I think I had a lot of like understandings and miscommunications on that level. And then I think it was due to that, I think I just decided just to more focus on my studies, rather than just focus on the jobs, because here I was actually making a good effort there by taking some of the computer arts classes and then going into computer graphics, but for them it was merely that they had to have someone there to help me and keep me on task, but as far as that goes. But the thing was, I just felt completely frustrated because of them trying to get me to do the whole job and trying to abandon the whole thing with computer graphics and all of that sort of stuff because it was too hard or something like that. And lately, that was my reasoning of leaving adult transition after 2 years, even though I was supposed to stay there until I turned 22 and then leave, but I just got sick and tired of all that. But I mentioned it so many times. It's just hard for me to put that behind me as far as that goes, because it was just one of those little frustrating things that I don't really have much closure on, so to speak. As far as spending the time afterwards, I was nearly home, but then it was kind of like around the summer of '01 where I basically traveled around with family, and at the same time as when my mom had a job in Dallas, and that's how I kind of got to Dallas there. Plus, I think I kind of used my mom going to Dallas as an excuse to kind of leave adult transition, but I think I was just already tired at that time, but I feel like that was kind of the whole point, that I kind of wanted more from somebody, from out of it, and then here, I think I felt a little frustrated because of being guilted into doing something that I didn't want to do, or guilted into thinking that maybe I was just being selfish or something, when I was really wanting to make something of myself at that time. But I feel like now it's like maybe I have the time to do these kind of things now, because everything is out of the way. Nobody is holding me back for some idiotic, selfish reasons or whatnot, But the only thing that's holding me back as far as the money and stuff like that, to finish school, to finish every little thing there. So this is just one of those little things that I had to kind of start doing in the future. But here it is now. I completely forgot to kind of go around and check all the classes online and get myself registered, but maybe I can probably go and do this once I'm finished doing the whole video blogs as far as that goes. But it's still going to be challenging as far as for me to do all of that now that I have glaucoma, and all this other little stuff that's going to be in the way, even though it's just something that I don't have control over. In a way, the whole thing with with adult transition and all that, I think maybe I did had control over the situation, but mainly it's just me knowing how to control it. And then the meaning of that was just to say to them that this is what I want, this is what I don't want, and then if you're not gonna cooperate with me, then I'm gonna leave, that sort of thing. So, anyways, I spent all of that the last part of '01, all of '02 kind of resting and going, and as far as like living to live over like in Dallas for a while there, and then I got bored and I came back, due to like the whole family problems again. And then as far as like coming out and then taking all sorts of classes and then making friends there, but as I could say so many times over about all the other experiences that, but lately it's like, that I probably shouldn't be repeating it all over and over, but this is just basically for this sort of blog right now, so anyway, since I've already been talking for like about an hour or roughly about an hour, so I'll probably stop this. So see you guys next time.